Hello and welcome back to my workshop for a very quick update on my GT project and my Spyder project, my two EV conversion projects, both based on BMW Z3s. One on the road, beautifully painted, just needs some trim bits, and one up on jack stands, still waiting to be converted. Very quick video this week, purely because, well, as always happens with project cars, life just gets in the way. On the GT, I've mostly been focused on the battery arrangement. This isn't quite right because that module down there should actually be under this module here. But this is the rough arrangement I'm going with, ignore the foam pads. In theory, with it laid out like this, the cables, the existing cables with the car should all reach. And if I get my box design right, I should be able to get all my outputs sorted and get all my BMS parts in and reuse the safety box that came with it, so keep the contactors, etc., which should be up to the job. It also keeps as much of the weight, this is the back of the car, keeps as much of the weight towards the back of the car as possible, which is important given if you saw DIY EV chat, this car's probably going to be a little bit tail happy. Fortunately, we've been to IKEA recently, so we had lots of cardboard, and I've made a cardboard model of the battery box. It's not quite right. I've actually moved the modules around since I made this, so I need to tweak it again. As you can see, I don't know if you can work out the ratio, but excuse my knees, this little module here will actually stick out here, rather than being, I can't remember where it was originally. Anyway, there's going to be another little lip out here. I might make the whole thing taper down slightly so that it matches the lines of the car. But yeah, that sits quite nicely in the car. It's pouring with rain outside, so I won't go and show you. But if I have got a photo of it, I'll send you one. Send you one, put one in the video. So here's the cardboard mock-up in situ. And from the other side, it's not quite straight, but it does work when it's straight. And here it is from the top, showing there should be space for the GS300H. 3D render of my engine bay, which I scanned. It's not wildly accurate. You can tell that the frame rails aren't perfectly straight, but it is only done on a very cheap scanner. That's why I'm doing the CAD cardboard modelling as well as the CAD computer-aided modelling. But that's roughly going to be the shape of the battery box, the black piece there, roughly, that sits in, avoids the steering column here, comes in over the cross brace piece here, which is where the engine mounts are. Sits in front of the, I haven't got the IS300H motor modelled in there yet, but that shouldn't come past this point, even with the clutch and stuff. And then the inverter will sit up there. And there's probably going to be a little extra piece on the battery box here, which will have the high voltage connection for the inverter. And then there will be another connection down here. Yeah, all right. Here we go. Down here, which is where the connections will go backwards to the charger at the back of the car. Should be plenty of space down there. Getting it in and out is going to be a crane job, obviously. So I'm going to have to internally brace it, or externally, but it'd be neater if it's internally braced for some lifting eyes. Probably one at the front and one at the back, so that I can tilt it nicely to get it over that central brace and the steering column. Not fully worked up designs on that yet, but it's a start. I've also been collecting parts for the wiring loom for the GT project. These are the connectors for the MG charger, which Jamie kindly sourced for me from Superbuy. And what we've discovered in doing this is that, if I can open this up with one hand, this, what is basically a clone of a TE connector, or it might even be a real TE connector, I'm not sure. But yeah, this TE connector is the same one as is used on the Hyundai and Kia PTC heater. So I've now got an order in for another one of these, so I can reuse the existing connector on the PTC heater. I haven't got the data connector yet, I haven't got that sorted. I thought I had, but it's not quite right. So I need to sort a data connector out for that. But getting there in terms of wiring loom, do just need to order lots of the right size of cable though. And that's kind of that on the GT. Over on the Spyder project, I've been doing lots of trim pieces, including this, my biggest ever 3D print. I've not tested this in the car yet. I need to make sure I've got it all right. I've probably got the dimensions a bit too close for the screen, because I want to be able to wrap vinyl around here and then put the screen in to hide the edges. So I might have to reprint this with a slightly bigger lip round here, that or take a Dremel to it, which, you know, given that it's going to be hidden, isn't the worst idea in the world, but it would be messy and time consuming. Printing it is the more expensive option, but you know, it's not the end of the world. But other than that, I'm quite happy with the design. Some vent pieces clip in here, so the vinyl will wrap into here and then be covered up by vent pieces so that the heat can be released. I've got to move the ports on the screen. I don't know if I can pop it out. No, I can't. It's quite stiffly in there. But the ports are all down this side. I'm also slightly worried that the power off button, which is here, is being depressed by the side of the mount. But I'm going to move the USB-C port and move the rear camera port round to the back. The TF port can stay where it is. The SD card port can stay where it is, because that doesn't need to come out. But I'm going to move those around to the back, and then under here you can see plenty of space to wrap cables out and down through into the dashboard, and then that will be permanently mounted, and in theory it should look pretty OEM once it's in there. Not the greatest screen in the world, it's 25 quid, but does everything I want it to do. Also, trim wise on the Spyder project, I've been dealing with this incredibly brittle old plastic, which effectively covers the rear cubby hole, but it's actually where I've now got a subwoofer, an OEM subwoofer, but I didn't have the OEM covers for it, so I thought I'd, you know, drill some holes, cut these up and make some and recover it, but the whole lot's just fallen apart and shattered. So in the end I've actually ended up 3D scanning these and making some new ones, and I need to test fit them, but I can't take the hood down on the car to test fit them, which is what I need to do to take the roll hoops out, because it is absolutely shedding it down at the moment. This is my current dashboard solution. My phone goes in there. It's warped in the sun. Getting text messages from the WhatsApp group. You can see the name of it there. So yeah, this needs to come off so that we can test fit this and see how it looks. I think that's going to look pretty awesome. A few things I might change. There's quite a big gap here now, so I'm wondering actually if I can put a lip in at the bottom here so that this just sits down slightly. That will also help to create some space for the vinyl to wrap around. Given how thick the vinyl is going to be, I'm also wondering if I need to narrow these walls slightly. I need to narrow them on the inside and narrow them on the outside, which is slightly worrying from a strength perspective, albeit there's a lot of material depth that way and material behind it as well. And then finally, it'd be quite nice actually if it followed the curve here. Maybe it splays out a little bit. Don't know. Would be cool, wouldn't it? And then sort of fishtails in, or reverse of fishtail really, isn't it? I think we might need another iteration of that design. Angle's pretty good. It looks pretty vertical with everything else. Could possibly go back a degree. But yeah, overall quite pleased with that. Back here is the other trim piece I've been working on. So I've managed to rescue the centrepiece. It's required a little bit of repair. And then I've put some 3D printed end caps on it. And that sits in the middle. And then on the outside, fully 3D printed pieces. That way around. This one actually goes on this side. The roll hoops go through it, but I've not quite got the size right, I don't think. I think they might be fractionally too narrow, but I can't really tell until it stops raining and I can take the roll hoops out. Last little thing for this video, just had a special delivery, which is this cable, which I thought was the matching cable for my mini battery pack, but actually it doesn't seem to be exactly right. It fits, as you can tell, it goes on this connector and it locks in place, but what it doesn't have is the interlock here, which obviously goes through to here and then into the safety box. There should be a sort of, I guess, matching sized or matching shaped piece of plastic which goes around these arced bits and has an interlock pin on the top of it which drops in there. The interlock doesn't seem to go anywhere. It doesn't look like there's a, well, obviously this one doesn't have one, but I don't think the interlock goes anywhere. It just has either it bridges those connections or it has a resistor in or something. I shall have to do some investigation and find out. But either way, that's pretty neat, fairly nicely OEM, and will be the connection between my inverter and my battery pack. And fingers crossed I can cut this roughly in the middle, and then I've got two nice OEM connectors. I think this cost me about 50 quid, this cable, which given the price of copper at the moment and the price of 35mm squared cable roughly I think this is, I think that's pretty decent. Just been on Darla's excellent battery wiki and found that you can buy the interlock separately. So one of those is on order, £3.62 from BMW. I actually didn't order it from BMW then because the shipping was silly. And I couldn't be bothered to drive to the nearest one who do parts and explain to them why I want one. So I've paid £9.87 in total to get the interlock for that. And now I have my nice, complete, very OEM connection sorted. So that's it for this little mini update. Really, I just wanted to keep progress happening all the while life's getting in the way. It might be small bits of progress, but both projects are still moving on. And so fingers crossed I get a bit more time over the next week to do more, but you never know. The weather's certainly not helping. It's still pouring with rain right now. And so I can't go and take the hood down and do some more interior stuff on the Spyder. But I am going to sit down here, finish work for the day, and do a bit more 3D design. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye bye.